This is Observious bringing you guys another League of Legends commentary, and today is going to be showing you guys a little bit of what happens when you mess up your team comp. So, you can see the picks are usually in order, with the team captain at the far left and the last pick on the far right. And already you can see just sort of how things sort of went. So we went ahead and grabbed Annie because she's quote-unquote OP according to the low elo community. I took Zilean, and I was going to aggressively support Caitlyn and just sort of try things out that way, since I knew that we were going to have a Mordekaiser via stuff in chat, and so I likely wouldn't have the top lane. And then we had a Blitz round out the comp. So Blitz is already talking about how we already have 2 clairvoyances, and that was just something that was sort of last minute by both of us. I went ahead and grabbed CV in the last few seconds. He grabbed CV in the last few seconds. I have the CV mastery actually, since I changed my mastery, and he doesn't. So it should pay out, but we'll find out whether or not that is the case. So you can see that our initial split is going to be a Blitzcrank Mordekaiser top and a Caitlyn Zilean bottom, which is going to be AD AP and AD and AP, with Annie holding on to the mid lane. Now, here's where something gets a little bit odd. Blitzcrank doesn't really want to be, aside from the fact that we don't have a jungler, and most comps do have a jungler. People say it's not so much not that necessary, but very few ranked games, even at this elo, do not have a jungler in the jungle, I suppose. But in this instance, Blitz is talking about how he doesn't want to be in a lane that's pushing heavily and trying to be aggressive. He wants to instead make it so there's one ranged, one melee in each lane, and he wants to just pull and stuff like that. So he wants to come down to the bottom lane, but Caitlyn won't have it. So I, as Zilean, am going to end up being in the top lane with Mordekaiser, the Master of Metal. So that's what's going on there. Annie is, of course, always a solid mid choice. There are better choices for mid, but in this composition, there's not that many. Sure, I could go mid and try to dominate the lane. Caitlyn's an okay mid. Blitzcrank, we saw his mid lane capabilities in the hands of a noob, and so I don't really want to have that repeated again. But if Blitzcrank on my team ever wants to go mid lane, I'm going to assume that they'll be decent. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's talking in broken English in the chat, and so Blitzcrank is saying to go learn English and calling it Russian, so already there's a little bit of tension in that bottom lane. We'll see how well that will turn out. And let's just get this all underway. So, already Mordekaiser and Zilean are pushing. We have yet to really see sight of Singed, who is in this top lane. They did, oddly enough, send a Twisted Fate and a Kali bottom, so this is just a very unconventional match. For their jungler, they do have the standard Nunu as well, although his early slow has been nerfed a bunch a few patches ago. He's still around as far as being a jungler and does come in from time to time. I'm personally not too excited for him. It really is situational, but here you can see me dropping my bombs onto Singed. I'm very rarely going to be dropping bombs on minions. Instead, going to leave that up to the Mordekaiser man to get his shield up. And once again, I've missed the first blood, where Caitlyn was able to pick off the Twisted Fate. And it looks like a Kali with an Ignite and a Mark, and maybe a little bit of minion aggro. Is going to go ahead and take out Caitlyn in a revenge killing. But at the same time, a Kali is going to go down. So we're already up 2 kills to 1. Because of that bottom lane, Annie is, of course, always going to be doing the lovely little QW combo onto Ashe, and she should be at least level 4 by now. If I remember right, it says she's 3 right here, so I guess not. Could be wrong. Likely I'm wrong. Yep, I only just now hit 3, so should be hitting 4 soon. Trying to tell if it keeps such things up to date in the little click portraits, although I think it does. But we're being really risky over here in this lane, because Singed is a champion that naturally gets resists. He didn't really get resist in this game, he got armor, but you can see he has 49 magic resistance, which is a 19 bonus magic resistance, which tells me he has, I believe, no, flat AMR is 13. So I'm a little bit curious as to what exactly he has to give him 19. Although, never mind, it is flat MR glyphs. He has 6 MR from the defensive tree, and that's how that works. So he possibly has 21 in defense, or at the minimum 9. So you saw me there accidentally bombing myself instead of Singed, and the reason for that is I am trying out the new, as of this last patch, feature of Smart plus Self-Cast Bind, where if the target your mouse is hovering over when you hit the button isn't able to be cast on, or, you know, like I'm targeting ground instead of Singe, like instead of it being like this, it was like this, and I was a little bit off, it will instead self-cast. And so usually that's no problem. In fact, it can be useful sometimes when, you know, you're getting targeted as Soraka, not having to hit the Alt key while you heal. Just a small change. But at the same time, I was seeing that, you know, sometimes if I miss my infuse, I'll instead just self-infuse and other shenanigans, and so I'll probably end up going back to just smart casting, but for the moment that explains that. Now, of the day of this recording, there was, you can see Singe getting a little bit low here from the harassment. There is a Gamescom going on at the moment, and they were showcasing the new game mode Dominion, which is not out yet, going to be out. It is going to be out a little bit after August. I'm losing a little bit of camera in my controller. And I believe we're going to dive Singed here. But it looks overall pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie. For those who want to see that, if they're watching it before when it's released, you can probably go look at it at the Riot Games stream. And okay, so we dived, and I wish I could rewind and do that in slow motion, but Singe got brought down to 15 HP during that tower dive, and because Nunu showed up at just the right time, despite never ganking beforehand, was able to pick up 2 easy kills, and so they are going to be ahead 3 kills to 2. So, anyways, you can go look it up on Riot Games, Gamescom, Dominion. They'll have replays up of certain bits of it. Not really. It looks great. It's commentating. It's going to be constant action everywhere, so that's going to be a blast. But at the same time, I just don't know what I'll be playing as far as how that goes. Although I do play just about anything here. As you can see, me playing Zilean in this game. So just keeping things rolling. And as far as normal Dominion stuff, or other YouTubers in general, Total Biscuit put up a full game of Dominion already in a worldwide exclusive, so you can go look up Total Biscuit, the Cynical Brit, and just look that up. Alternatively, I believe Colby Cheese or Colby Lol videos or something like that uploads regular tournament videos of NA matches and so on. And who else uploads stuff? Oh yes, Stonewall 008, or 008 I should say, uploads regular jungle videos. So for those who found my channel somehow before you saw theirs, those are some regular uploaders of League of Legends videos. Although Total Biscuit doesn't really do just League of Legends, but a myriad of stuff, and just only has a few, but he's a relatively entertaining person. So you did see this gank come in by Nunu, and he wasn't really able to do anything. The ultimate didn't really hit. I'm just speeding up more to get him out of there, and not too much is going to go on from this fight. I mean, we were all heavily extended, Mord got low. He might have to recall, but then again, he does have that health pendant. And you can see both, well, I guess I didn't have 6 yet, as I'm currently level 5, and that makes sense. But you can see my mana is getting fairly low from just spamming bombs on the enemy. Although, I broke my rule. I'm using the time bombs on the minions for that one bit. But you can see my CS, aka last hits, or cash up, however you want to go with it, is only 13, as I'm being fairly true in letting them do that. Now you can see Annie sitting in this bush, and she wants to go out and gank the lane, but I've already looked in this bush, and I've checked this bush, and there's no one here for Annie to gank, and so she's going to go on her merry to the mid lane, or actually go ahead and start recalling. And Singe is, of course, just going to be playing it safe and getting that catalyst eventually. Now, we do over here see a ping, and it looks like this tower is in fact going to die, so they're going to start moving in on Twisted Fate, and he is going to go ahead and flash out of there, trying to avoid that Blitzcrank burst after eating a Caitlyn Q. So, time bombs going off everywhere. Blitzcrank is low, there's an ignite, he might not get away, but Zilean does go ahead and speed him up. But again, he has no mana, but it doesn't matter because it looks like there is going to be a counter gank coming on with Caitlyn coming in. She's going to go ahead and try to ult Nunu, but Singe is going to intercept, and Caitlyn is going to go ahead and back up and just keep pushing that lane. Meanwhile, Zilean coming in for some unknown reason. Remember, I have no mana, I just now got enough mana for a time warp / time bomb, but Blitzcrank is going to come in and rush into the lane, and with that teleport to the ward I placed earlier, I'm going to easily pick up Nunu. But now Twisted Fate is coming into the fight, and it looks like everyone is going to go ahead and have to back off. So the kills are currently tied 3-3. Ashe, meanwhile, is still laning up with Annie. We'll see if an arrow does come into play at some point in time. Annie is, of course, going to be stuck in that lane until Ashe leaves the lane. Unless she pushes Ashe all the way to her tower, but I somehow don't really see that happening for the time being. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank runs in at low health to just try to burst Twisted Fate, but he gets caught heavily out of position. My Chrono Shift is off of cooldown, I haven't used it all game yet, but he decided to stop in that tri-bush, and because he stopped in that tri-bush for about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, he is going to be able to get chased down by a Kali, and Ashe is going to go ahead and come up to the mid lane with Annie right behind, but I don't know if she'll be able to quite do anything. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank is going to go ahead and rage at Caitlyn, because for those of you who were keeping an eye on the minimap, Caitlyn was over here about where Akali was, and she was pushing the tower while Blitzcrank was doing all of those shenanigans. So he was just not happy, saying she's not a team player, and so she's going to say good game and go AFK at the fountain. So already this is just something that where you see that first Jax game I uploaded, and that's what people say for carrying, and then people talk about games like this, and they're like, it's impossible to carry out of these games because someone will go AFK or intentionally feed. But we'll see if Caitlyn stays AFK. It could just be a moment of rage or unhappiness. There's a huge wave of minions over here, purple caster minions, just overall attacking this, but they weren't able to push this lane really in the laning phase, and so Blitzcrank should be able to clear it out before that tower falls. And something that was really interesting in the Dominion matches on the stream was that in the first or second game, I believe it was the first game of the first day, for those who are looking up the VODs, if they upload it, in the first or second game, if they upload all 6 games, there was a team fight over at top, and I'm just going to go ahead and talk about that later, as Annie goes ahead and tibbers Akali. Nunu's going to go ahead and ult though, and this could be really bad, but it looks like it's going to miss most of the champions. I go ahead and ult Mordekaiser, but he kept running away from the fight, and so when he finally does return to the fight, my ultimate does wear off, and everyone does go ahead and get picked off. But Blitzcrank is going to try to come in here for the pickup. He's going to go ahead and run in here. He does have the double damage pop up, and with that ultimate, he is going to be able to pick up Twisted Fate, and with the grab, pick up Nunu. And now he's just going to go ahead and flee from the scene of the crime with his overdrive and his red buff. Zilean coming in just in case. So that's a little bit sad. Meanwhile, Caitlyn is setting up her own little base inside of the fountain, determined to properly camp out the right way. And probably going to add a third trap over here when the cooldown is done. Now, Zilean doesn't really have too much to do. He's alive. And he probably ought to recall, but he only has about 357 gold because he hasn't really been last hitting, and he has no gold per 5 items, something you might really want to get. Although in this case I did actually get a catalyst to sort of just try to help my sustain, even though I'm not really going to be taking too much harassment, and when I will die, but I guess I'm not the best Zilean out there. I was trying to get my Rod of Ages as quick as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and toss down 2 time bombs, grab 4 CS, and run like mad. And you can tell I'm not the best at last hitting with my Zilean. Meanwhile, Caitlyn saying thanks for -12 elo hell, and Blitz is going to go ahead and rage at Caitlyn. But you can see, if she had come into that fight, we probably could have won that engagement. We're doing fairly well. but instead we came out about even, with a loss, I guess, if you were thinking it was a 4v4, but since it was a 5v4, we came out about even. Annie is dancing around, and there hasn't really been any fights for Dragon, I believe. I could be wrong. But you can see that Singe is going to go ahead and keep the lanes pushed. He is going to go ahead and start running to that mid lane. And we're going to see if he actually does come in from the bush here to try and get Mord or Annie. But it looks like Mord and Annie are going to go ahead and play it safe. But no, it looks like he did come up to this top lane to try to gank. And he's not going to keep chasing and say he's going to just leave that poison. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a bomb here. Take that last hit. I missed that last hit. Minion got it. And just grab one extra minion. So Singe is going to go ahead and be MIA. I do have 200 mana. I could maybe go bottom. It looks like no, that minion wave looks too scary. So instead I'm going to go ahead and just push it off. And this could be a bad decision on my part to just continue staying in this top lane and not even really doing a good job of last hitting to make it worth it. Ashe is of course poking around, and Mordekaiser and Annie are just still holding on to what they've got. So they've got each other, and that's going to be enough, I'm presuming. Singed is of course just going to go ahead and keep on pushing that top lane, making me want to stay in the lane. I'm saying that we're winning without her, and so she should join the fight. She looks like it was going to be coming in to get red buff, and you can see if you're reading the chat and keeping up with all of that extra side stuff that my W key is a little bit stuck, and so it's like we're winning without you, but we will win harder, or something like that. Of course, paraphrasing since I'm not seriously reading the chat. And zilean is going to be stuck in the top lane versus Singed and Nunu as they try to push down this lane. I accidentally take a step into the poison, and I have 368 mana, which will be good for about 2 time bombs. And I don't really believe that they're going to be able to take down this tower in one go. And in fact, a teleport from Blitzcrank ought to be a strong counter gank. But remember, I do have no mana, but it does not quite matter, as they will in fact escape. Apparently I did somehow dredge up enough mana for a time warp. So I am going to go ahead and recall. Caitlyn's saying that go to fed, so I missed something. I think she just died. Maybe. She is 2-1. I guess not, but she did recall or something. I totally wasn't paying attention to the callouts, and that's something they did announce very short, not too long ago today in the news, was that they're going to be adding kill callouts to Summoner's Rift and of course in Dominion, and that's going to be saying who got kills, who got assists and stuff like that. And Nunu is just going to overall ult Caitlyn and get a free kill on her, and so that's going to make the kills 7-8. Blitz is of course just going to go ahead and keep on raging and saying that they should ban Russians off of US servers, and just being really angry. I don't know. He's not really liking this. He's going to try to grab Ashe. He does successfully pull it off and easily picks off Ashe in an amazing grab there. Just very nice catching her out of position. zilean dancing up, and probably shouldn't be. All of these champions shouldn't be. We do have no minion wave, so we're taking free tower shots. And it looks like we're going to be backing off, possibly to do Dragon, I'm not too certain. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's returned from being AFK again, or just being AFK overall. She's going to go ahead and say go, 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 encourage us to push. So we're going to go ahead and move up to this mid lane, and she's just going to go ahead and keep on running. And so possibly she's jamming to the Me, Myself, and Trollgath song, although I don't know if they'd released the Songs of the Summoned bit. But, you know, possibly she had heard of it before then, and that's what she was doing this game. Meanwhile, zilean self-cast that ultimate if you missed it, and that was because he was trying to save Caitlyn, but again, that self plus smart cast was overall making it just a little bit worse. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that, ooh, very nice, I did drop a bomb on Caitlyn, and apparently either when she dropped in the fog it set off immediately, or I got an auto attack off, because that is extremely unlikely. Now we go ahead and see TF ulting, so because it doesn't have the global range, we all immediately start moving back, and that is in fact enough, although Mordekaiser is sticking around. And of course Caitlyn was running off on her Mary down the lane and died over there. And I'm going to go ahead and CV Dragon and find out that no one has still taken Dragon at this 19-minute mark. And I do apologize if the gameplay music is a little bit too loud. If it is, I'll probably re-record it and edit it back in, but it just depends on how loud it is overall. As I believe this is my third or fourth time attempting to do this, but I keep on getting cut off for some reason this game. And that's just something that's a little bit funny. Something always seems to happen to this replay. And of course Blitzcrank is trying to convince the purple team to go ahead and report Caitlyn for feeding and griefing, although I don't really think she's griefing so hard. And I really do like this new catalyst animation that was on Annie, and I realize it's probably not that new, but I missed whenever they put it in, and so I really like it compared to the normal little floaty thingies. And of course Nunu's going to go ahead and get his ultimate off in the bush, get the full ult off. It didn't really hurt that much, he's not really contributing too much to the fight, but he is giving Blood Boil to Ashe, and he is tossing out that CC, so it is enough. And it looks like Twisted Fate will be picked off. Trying to find out where Caitlyn is. Caitlyn is chasing all by her lonesome and going to run into Annie, get snowballed. So everyone is going to go ahead and be moving in and feed a kill to the Nunu, but it was extremely close. If only Annie wasn't auto-attacking the minion and instead attacking Nunu, she might have actually killed him. So a little bit sad there. She did go ahead and feed a kill instead of picking off Nunu, but it is what it is. Meanwhile, the first surrender vote of the day does come up, and it does end with a 1-4, and it was initiated by Caitlyn. Meanwhile, Singed is split pushing down the top lane, as a good Singed does. He does have his poison on for no reason, as he's not poisoning any minions, but he's just being safe, I suppose. Maybe he's not really good with toggles. Zilean is going to go ahead and come in, and he's going to go ahead and drop bombs on Singed. Possibly going to get flung here. He does get flung, taking some major damage, gets ignited, but it looks like he will be okay. Meanwhile, the rest of the blue team was able to pick off this tower, but they're going to have to just flash, and eventually they are going to go ahead and get picked up by Twisted Fate. Blitzcrank's going to get picked off. Moore's going to pull off the third and last flash for Team Blue in this region, and Annie looks like she's going to get away handily.
An ally has been slain.
Meanwhile, oh no, Caitlyn did run in as Zilean was falling back to Singed, and does get poisoned and brought down in the bush. So she's just not really doing that well at all. She's trying her hardest as someone who's poor at the game. I believe she even says that in chat. You know, I'm not the best at the game. Blitzcrank's calling it feeding. You guys can be the judge. I'm not going to call names in here, unless I already did earlier, in which case, oops. But Annie's going to go ahead and last hit in this bottom lane, trying to keep this outer turret alive against an Akali and an Ashe with a blue buff. Not the best choice to have blue buff, but you get what you can get, and you don't throw fit. And so Annie, I believe she should, I don't know, in my opinion, I would probably just, Caitlyn's going to go ahead and flash in with the auto attack Q, auto attack combo. And she's going to even ult Ashe, but that lovely little burst isn't quite enough to kill her, and Mordekaiser and Annie are going to go ahead and just chase on in. Meanwhile, Zilean is going to go ahead and grab blue buff for himself, but he's probably going to have to recall after that, not contribute too much to the fight. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank and Mord are going to go ahead and chase Akali, and they've done significant damage to her, even with an Annie Q. But she is going to go ahead and get picked off by Mordekaiser there. Singed, meanwhile, is splitting, but I'm going to go ahead and just push mid during all of this. I'm going to go ahead and time warp myself so I cannot get flung by the Singed. And so I'm going to go ahead and have to play it a little bit safe here, as I'm just trying to get Singed off of my lane. Caitlyn, meanwhile, is going to go ahead and get flung, eat some poison. I'm going to ult her to try to keep her alive, giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to actually flash away from Singed, so I don't die. Caitlyn does, in fact, respawn, and she gets flung, eats more poison, and is auto-attacking. She misses her Q and dies. Meanwhile, in the opposite lane, it looks like Annie and Blitzcrank and possibly Mordekaiser here are going to get picked off, but they were able to, in fact, kill Twisted Fate, so it was not worth it. Yep, I'm not going to be biased. That was totally not worth it. But our team is trying. We're doing some tremendous pushing here. We are up 1 tower to 4, or I guess I should say 4 towers to 1. But it looks like they are going to get this bottom lane for free. Meanwhile, Singe is talking about how I'm stupid because Caitlyn is intentionally feeding, and I shouldn't be trying to save her. But I do have blue buff, so why not waste the mana on a Chrono Shift? Ashe is definitely, for sure, going to be taking down this tower, and I do go ahead and peek and see that it is in fact dead. Caitlyn, meanwhile, is going to go ahead and run straight into Singe's puddle. I'm going to go ahead and slow Singe down this time and drop a bomb on someone, on Caitlyn, and she is going to go ahead and get picked off by Akali. So now she is at least juking around. I don't know if she's quite feeding. Maybe she is. Maybe she's just trying to not look like it so she won't get reported. But we will, in fact, see what all is going on here. Blitz does go ahead and get sped up. But, oh my goodness, that burst. He's straight through his mana shield and he goes down like paper. Nunu is extremely low. Mordekaiser does want a piece of that. So he is chasing. Zilean does have a bomb on himself for some unknown reason. I did have a lot of issues with that today. Or a lot, not today, but whenever I did this game. And there's going to be another surrender vote coming up, and it is going to end up with another 1-4, and initiated by the Caitlyn. As at the moment, Blue is doing somewhat decently, but oh no, Caitlyn does go ahead and die, taking tower aggro. And so Blue is going to be just sort of wiping the minions and trying to do something, but Caitlyn is sticking around. She didn't die after all, somehow. Thought she was, but oh no, there she goes. Just a quick leap by Akali, and then a flash out. There you go. Caitlyn's doing a purpose. She's making summoners waste their flashes for less than 300 gold. And Blitz is, of course, going to be speculating aloud to the team chat that, maybe this person has already been banned off of EU servers, and that's why they're here. I don't know where he's getting all of this, personally, myself. I mean, the typer didn't chat in Russian at all that I know of. That maybe she did in the pregame or something. I wasn't paying attention. Now, Twisted Fate is going to be a AD Twisted Fate, and people normally go, trash Twisted Fates. But in reality, an AD carry is an AD carry, no matter what skill set they have. And so we'll see that, they can carry. That's just the plain facts of it all. Nunu's going to go ahead and ult, and I'm in a bad place. So Akali and Nunu are going to go ahead and pick me off. And now Caitlyn's going to get picked off by an Akali jump. And Mord is in trouble, but he's really tanky. Always tank, never die. And we'll see. I don't know. Looks like they're going to go ahead and be safe. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank is going to go ahead and come in from the side and get a revenge kill on Nunu. But Akali is going to make it out okay. Meanwhile, the reason that Singe wasn't there was that he's decided to go ahead and split push and get a tower on top for free, thus making us almost tied for towers. We're still 1 tower ahead. No one's gotten any dragons that I know of in this game, and
an ally has been slain.
And just sort of keeping things going. Meanwhile, an ally has been slain while I'm looking away, and it was Blitzcrank and Mordekaiser getting picked off, respectively. And Twisted Fate might die from the minion. No, he does not. One thing that I wanted to bring up real quick, though, was that in Dominion in that first or second game, and I totally forgot to actually finish that, was that a purple caster minion does in fact get a kill on the kill call. With exactly, or saying, purple caster minion scored a kill and not a champion. And so that was extremely interesting. Meanwhile, Singe does go ahead and get a free kill on Caitlyn, and so we're going to go ahead and just keep on now sort of losing this game 27-16, which will outpace the global gold given by the towers. Although, how many deaths does Caitlyn have? She does have 2 kills, 12 deaths, so possibly she might not be worth that much gold, but she is stacking zeals and boot to mobility, so she is going to be a really speedy person every time she comes back to life.
An ally has been slain.
But looks like there's going to be more caps and stuff going on in the chat. Pardon for a little pause there. And people are going to go ahead and just claim that the game is over because we are going to be behind 12 kills. And team morale has just started sinking, so we'll see exactly how well it holds up in the long term. And I do apologize for constantly using the "we'll see," but I do not want to reveal what is actually going to happen. Now we do go ahead and see Nunu split pushing in the bottom lane, but there's also a huge team fight going on in mid, and Caitlyn is going to go ahead and get picked off. Ashe ults and hits Mordekaiser, so he could be going down here. It looks like he's going to get picked off. Did ult and ignite Akali, but will she go down is the better question, and that is going to be answered by no, she is not. And so Annie is going to die. Meanwhile, Zilean came all the way from top to bottom to try to cover this lane, and did in fact succeed in driving off Nunu. But now Blitzcrank and Zilean are going to be the only ones left holding this lane. And Blitz is going to go ahead and miss that grab, which would only pop the bubble on Nunu anyways, and not really bring him under the tower. So Blitz is going to go ahead and try tanking for the tower, but things look pretty grim here. Going to go ahead and slow down Nunu, dropping some bombs, and doesn't look like he's going to be affected that much because he is in fact building straight tank. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's going to go ahead and be back in the fray, auto-attacking Akali, ulting her, and I think it hit Nunu, but she's going to go ahead and keep chasing regardlessly, face check into Akali's Twilight Shroud, and go ahead and get picked off. Now, Ashe is going to go ahead and pop up with that red buff, clear out the minion wave, and this time it looks like Blitzcrank and Zilean have a plan to come and take down the enemy Singed. That's a little bit interesting. And it looks like purple team... Oh no, Mordekaiser has surrender vote that I somehow didn't see on my screen. While surrendering. And so it will end 2-3. As it would of course be Mordekaiser and Caitlyn voting yes. It's just Fate showing that he doesn't have AP, but he does have plenty of attack damage. And so he's going to go ahead and just, using that sustained, possibly bring down Mordekaiser. He even pops his ultimate, but ooh, he could go down. Zilean cast his ultimate on himself in an attempt to barely reach Mordekaiser, but Mordekaiser dies right as Zilean casts it. And so Zilean is forced to flash away to escape the fed Akali. And of course Ashe is going to go ahead and ult to ensure the kill on Zilean. Making the score now 18-35. Blitzcrank is of course trying to come in and make something happen out of that, but then realize that, you know, I don't know if I can kill that Akali, and is going to go ahead and back off, possibly, not certain. He's going to go ahead and go in anyways, eating up free Ashe auto attacks. His mana barrier is going to go ahead and pop. He's going to get marked by Akali and get killed by her, so that wasn't pretty at all. Meanwhile, Annie is going to be dueling Nunu and Singed and not really pulling anything out of that, so everyone just sort of breaking down on Team Blue. Now equal on towers, mirrored actually, as it's going to be 4 this way and 4 this way for Team Blue and Purple respectively. Caitlyn is of course going to be caught by Singed, try to start backing up after sending 2 auto attacks at him. Going to go ahead and take the slow and the fling possibly. Nope, no fling. Akali just going to go ahead and jump at her with a mark on her and get the kill. Mordekaiser is of course going to be left to hold on to this lane, and Nunu is going to go ahead and bring on the fight down to bottom. And Mordekaiser is bringing the pain onto Akali, but I don't know if it'll be enough. Zilean was able to put down a time bomb onto Akali, but she is in fact going to live, and Zilean's going to go ahead and have to speed himself out of there, as that tower is going to die versus that Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer BF Sword Berserker Greaves greedy Ashe build. And of course very fed. Although, oh nope, she has 204 minion kills, and 7 kills, 1 death, 9 assists, so very fed Ashe. Meanwhile, Nunu is of course going to go ahead and with the Blood Boil buff start bringing down this bottom tower, and we can see that it's only going to get to maybe half health before he's forced to pull out, and Time Bomb does go ahead and get dropped on Nunu to pop his bubble so Annie can do her damage, but Nunu wisely backs out in time. And Blitzcrank is going to be doing much the same as Nunu, trying to attack the tower, but not going to run away, and is able to take down the tower and do a little bit of damage before dying, thus giving the tower advantage to... Oh no, this other tower went down, so now it is going to be still tied in towers for both teams, but Team Blue is going to be behind 22 kills, and that is going to be indeed very painful. Caitlyn again getting caught out of position, pushing the lane, going to go ahead and be forced to flash towards the wall and get flung and ignited and poisoned, and that is no bueno. Meanwhile, McClear does go ahead and pop a surrender vote, and so is this time going to be Blitz, Mord, and Caitlyn voting yes. And I'm going to go ahead and vote no, along with Annie. And you can see that, you know, people are slowly getting added to that vote. I go ahead and ult Mord, but I'm going to die for it. And this is going to be a really big tower dive. Mord does go ahead and get picked off since I only brought him back up to about half health. And that's not nearly enough versus 4... I think that's 4. Nope, 5 Fed champions. And Blitzcrank is just going to come in here and try to drive them away with Annie. But it looks like... Oh no, Annie's going to go ahead and get hit by the frost arrows and get 3 free hits on her. Caitlyn's around here too. Despite not seeing any hit bars, of course, because I'm not looking. And people are going to go ahead and lose another kill to Team Purple from Caitlyn. And Singed and Akali are going to go ahead and back off. Meanwhile, or in other news I should say, bottom lane is heavily pushed, but Ashe and Twisted Fate are going to be able to cover that up just nicely. And to be honest, I don't really see any way that blue team could buy their way back into this fight. They could possibly take a quick dragon if it hasn't been taken yet. Baron really isn't safe for them because they don't really have the damage for it. A new surrender vote has been started by the Blitzcrank, although I still can't locate where in the world that surrender vote is on my map. It is in fact way up here, and so it looks like it's going to be 3-2-1 with Annie voting no. I'm actually holding off on my vote, and I was actually sort of just waiting to see what's going to happen, something sort of interesting happens on this surrender vote, so I'm not going to go ahead and spoil it, as it is only a few more seconds. You can see that thing ticking away. We can see that Ashe and Twisted Fate are in fact hiding just to see who's all coming, but, you know, this Zilean's trying, Annie's trying, she's probably the only person who said no. Blitzcrank and Mordekaiser have decided to give up, and they've quit. Caitlyn has, of course, fed a kill to the enemy team. Annie, of course, gets picked off. So now the enemy team is going to go ahead and come in for the win. I've dropped all sorts of stuff down. Caitlyn's decided to come back from the dead. We're all trying to get it out. And I actually hit yes for the surrender vote. And it says you cannot call for a surrender so quickly after the first was denied. So the surrender vote fails. But it looks like Caitlyn is going to go ahead and get picked off by the poison and an Ashe auto attack. And they should be able to quickly pick down this tower and the Nexus. I'm of course going to come in here and drop a bomb and then immediately run back because Ashe is destroying me, and that will in fact be the game. Alright, that concludes Game 4. Stay tuned for Game 5 in the Marathon. This is Observious, signing out.